But before we get started with the edge tuning and waxing, I thought I'd just spend a minute or two talking about racing and racing in general, and then some of the errors that are made in racing and some of the things you can do to eliminate those before you even get started. To start with, the key one is when I bring this up at a waxing clinic, when people want to spend a lot of time waxing, I ask them how their off-season training program is going and how their training group is doing, and they kind of look at the floor and look pretty sheepishly. Those are key items if you want to race and race well. Off-season training programs are absolutely essential. Even the elite athletes have training programs and people that they work with. So I highly recommend that if you're not in a training program, to join a group, get some pointers, get some tips on how to race. Everybody picks up bad habits along the way, and you can improve those with a training group. So to start with in racing, for alpine racing, it's really about paying attention to all the details. There's an old Finnish coach that put a saying on a wall that I saw that said, if a skill needs to improve, it must be practiced. If the skill improved, it means it was practiced. If it did not improve, that means you did not practice it. And what he's saying there is we tend to practice the things we're good at because it's a lot of fun and ignore the things that we're not. So you want to look at that and work on all aspects of your skiing, your edge tuning, and your waxing. Fundamentally, one of the biggest mistakes that I see skiers make is they go out and train and practice on skis that are not set up to race. So the edges aren't as aggressive, the skis aren't as fast. And your body develops a memory then for this type of ski, so when you go put on your racing skis and you dial them up, you can't keep up with them. If you're going out to do training and going out to do speed work, you want to make sure that you have skis that are dialed up just like you're going to race on them. It does two things. It teaches you what fast skis feel like. It lets you know when your skis are fast, and practicing waxing and edge tuning is just as important as practicing the racing, practicing skiing. So it gives you a chance to do all aspects of your racing. The other one I see quite a bit in is that skiers will put a ton of time into their edges, and it's really fun because you can shine and polish the edges, get right down there with the ceramic stones, put a real nice shine to them, get a real nice sharp edge. Then they go over and they use the House generic universal glide wax to race on. And I've seen this a bunch. When we put people onto our waxes, onto our temperature specific waxes, work with our wax master to select their waxes, the results improve dramatically. Generally, skiers go from the middle of the pack to the front just by changing how they wax their skis. And if you understand waxing and ski structure, it'll make a little more sense here. How a ski works is as it glides over the snow, it melts a micro layer of that snow, and then the ski runs on that interface between the snow and the ski base, and it runs on that water. What the wax does is it optimizes that friction that creates that micro layer. If you have a wax on that's too soft, what will happen is the snow crystals will cut into that wax and it'll drag and slow down on the wax, and it won't create that optimum performance that you're looking for. If your wax is too hard, it skims over the top of the snow and doesn't create any of the friction you need to melt that snow into that micro layer of water, and your skis will run okay, but they won't be optimum. It's much better to err on the side of waxing too hard versus too soft. And in many cases, the universal waxes tend to be a softer wax, so when you get into colder weather, they really slow you down. How the structure works with that then is the structure is what manages the air under the ski to keep it free from sucking down. So your structure manages that moisture that's underneath the ski. If you have a real fine structure on a real wet day, what will happen is you'll build up suction, that ski will suck down, and you'll lose speed from wet friction. If you have a real coarse grind in the ski and you go out on a dry powdery day, what will happen is those sharp snow crystals will dig into that added surface area and it'll drag your ski, and you'll lose some performance that way. So it's really important to understand the wax and the ski structure and matching that to the snow and the snow conditions along with your edges, so that you have options of what you can do. So carry a waxing log just like your training log, so that you can look at the conditions, you can see what's what they're like, you can go back and refer to your manual and know what to do. You should really never race on a ski waxing setup that you haven't practiced on. So that means you need to wax your skis in practice just like you're going to race on them. Set them up so that you know what they feel like. And that's how you eliminate the mistakes where you miss gates or you flub a turn, because it's the elimination of those little errors and paying attention to all those details that makes you fast. Racing is all about little gains. It's not going to make one huge gain in it, but if you pay attention to all these little details, you gain little points along the way and you be moved to the front of the pack. So it's really important to know and understand why you're waxing, how you're waxing, and why you're tuning your edges, and to give yourself some options when you're doing that. So with that, we'll move on and start edge tuning the ski.